G'day mates, welcome back to Saturdazed. Today we're going to be doing another live action show review since I had so much fun doing my Galidor episode a few months back, and I thought I'd even kick it up a notch by doing something that actually never aired in the US, and instead hailed from the land down under. And that show today is Legacy of the Silver Shadow. Obviously, I didn't grow up on this show since it never debuted here in the US of A, but I like to imagine that Aussie kids growing up in the early 2000s would rush home on their Mad Max style oil rigs, blaring Men at Work on the radio in a crazed rush to catch a few cartoons before supper time. And then, after being careful to dodge all the spiders that rained down on their heads as they would rush to their front door, I'm sure they'd just plop down on the couch like any other kid around the world just for some high-octane entertainment. And what better show to watch than Legacy of the Silver Shadow, a 13-part miniseries that I can only describe as the Australian equivalent to Power Rangers. So, grab yourself a Vegemite sandwich and strap in for some good old live-action cheese. Now wait a minute, I feel like there's something I can be doing to get the authentic Australian viewing experience. Now that's better, right? Totally accurate.
You will never believe how it happened.
So there's my dad, a busload of tourists cowering on a riverbank, half-starved lioness attacking them. He didn't have much choice but to take it on, barehanded.
In this first scene, we're introduced to one of the main characters, Alex, who's just been transferred to a new school. Hoping to impress some of her new classmates, she basically concocts this elaborate lie about how her father was tragically killed in a wrestling match with a ravenous crocodile, and therefore blames this horrific accident as the reason for her move.
After the funeral, Mum and I decided to make a fresh start. So, here I am.
You can obviously tell that this supposed traumatic event really had an impact on her mental stability. After being rejected by some of the school socialites,
Where do you hang out at lunchtime?
With my friends.
Alex literally bumps into Josh and his weird barbed wire shirt wearing friend Farrell.
It's my first day, and well, everyone's been so nice and...
Hey, it's cool. We know what it's like in a new place. That's why we're looking for you.
You were?
Yeah, to see if you wanted to hang out with me and the guys after school. Just sort of get to know each other a bit, you know?
Sure. I'm not doing anything.
Sweet. We usually meet down the old factory complex. It'd be, really great if you could make it.
Yes, I knew Farrell was setting her up. But come on, I'd just been publicly carbonated. There wasn't a single reason to take pity on this tryhard.
I just love how this show thinks using blurry JPEG images is an acceptable way to handle voiceover scenes. Oh wait, I do that. After drying off from being
Publicly carbonated.
Josh meets up with his other friend Campbell to tell him about the paint bombing prank they're about to pull on Alex. Campbell doesn't seem to approve of this initiation and tries his best to persuade Josh from going through with it.
Can you imagine how humiliated she's gonna be? A nice girl like that.
What? Like what?
This dude is awesome. Josh agrees to help Data save Alex from a certain sticky situation, though they didn't really think their plan through in advance. They're kind of more the wing it kind of guys. Eventually Campbell comes to the conclusion that hormones are the answer, and that the only solution is to
Find your inner hunk.
Are you a wimp or a nerd who just can't seem to hook up with those strange specimens known as girls? Well, boy, have I got a product for you. Introducing Finding Your Inner Hunk, the new book by acclaimed author Campbell Kelly. It'll have you talking to those girls in no time at all. Don't believe me? Psh, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, just watch how well it works for the author himself. Roll the clip.
Campbell Kelly. I suppose you're wondering why you're here, and why I'm here.
Welcome to the party, new girl!
Can't believe I wasted money on this piece of shit. So the incredible hunk plan didn't really work out too well for Campbell, and he ends up running away with his tail between his legs. But luckily, Josh is able to use a conveniently placed rope to stop his ex-friend Farrell, sliming him and his feral band of miscreants in the process. Josh, Alex, and Cam escape into the Australian wasteland, eventually seeking refuge in yet another abandoned factory. Seems to be quite a few of those lying around. Turns out this factory isn't as structurally structurally sound as the last one, and out of nowhere, the three heroes just plummet straight through the floor like they're in the music video for Turn Down for What? Turn Down for What? Meanwhile, at a nearby rest home, we get to meet Fiona, whom I can already tell is going to be a great character from this very first scene she's in.
I'm here to see my grandfather.
After interrupting his sing-along session, Fiona's suspiciously sinister grandpappy informs her that
seeing you makes me feel like I'm going to live forever.
Alright, creepy grandpa scene. Just check that right off the list. Back in the shoddy factory, the gang recovers from their little mishap. Luckily, no one was seriously injured since they landed on a few strands of convenient plot hay.
Things could be worse. They're worse.
And by worse, Josh is referring to a temperamental little girl toting an RPG. Gotta love Australia. Despite her tough exterior, this factory-dwelling urchin is quite inept when it comes to using weapons larger than she is, and she ends up firing it backwards. Somehow though, whether it be through using her powers of comedic timing or her ability to distort the laws of physics, this girl's magic harpoon still manages to tie up the three kids perfectly, though she ends up along for the ride as well.
Say what?
What is even happening in this show right now?
What? Like what?
After their unexpected trip down an elevator shaft, the heroes end up in yet another creepy rundown basement. Only this time it's a basement with an outdated computer console, complete with an ominous disembodied head that spins around like the girl from The Exorcist when approached. Seriously though, I'm getting some strong Arnim Zola vibes from this whole situation. Get out of there, guys, he's gonna force you to join Hydra.
Death amounts to the same as your life, a zero sum.
As much as I'd like this blue dude to be some sort of digital supervillain, turns out he's actually quite the opposite. Even though a minute ago he seemed quite surprised to find 4 random kids stumbling through his secret lair, Mr. Head doesn't seem too wary about revealing his secrets, including his true identity, to this unconventional group of strangers, who, need I remind you, literally just met each other today. Now I'm no expert, but this Zordon knockoff should probably crack down on his security measures.
I was the one you all knew as the Silver Shadow.
No. More information, please?
Yeah, I'm with Josh on this one. I'm a little lost. Can you please explain to me how a shadow can be silver? The sentient computer system goes on to explain that back in the 1950s, he was a famous costume crime fighter known as the Silver Shadow, sworn protector of the world, defender of the innocent, and occasional television glitch one might encounter when flipping through the channels late at night.
Mom, the scary blue face is on TV again.
However, his heroic duties unfortunately came to an end long ago when he was murdered by his arch nemesis, the Crab, who apparently still roams the earth, lying in wait, hoping to one day enact the next phase of his plan for worldwide STD distribution. I mean, worldwide destruction, of course. The Crab, eh? Who does that remind me of? Crabs are gross, kinda crusty, occasionally creepy. Oh, it's gotta be this old fart.
Yes.
So no surprise there. This wheelchair-bound mastermind is in fact the Crab, and in this scene he's trying to coax his granddaughter Fiona into continuing his mission.
There are many things to show you.
Fiona isn't too keen on the idea of spending some quality time with her Gramps, which I don't blame her for given the generational gap and all, but the Crab simply won't take no for an answer. Using his low-budget magic hand, he's able to stop her dead in her tracks, giving him the perfect opportunity to blackmail her by bringing up her dark past. See, apparently Fiona's a problem child who's been kicked out of school, had a few anger issues, then there's that time she started beating up on a kid and just took things too far. She's 100% Dark Apprentice material.
Fulfill your destiny.
While the 4 heroes are stuck listening to a computer monitor prattle on about how awesome the Silver Shadow was, Fiona is treated to something much better.
Call me the Crab.
I mean, get a load of this guy. Dude's a G. Sure, he may look like a ladybug in that dorky homemade costume of his, but this geezer's got some serious 90s tech hidden in a frickin' retirement home. Who wouldn't want to team up with this guy? Bug Boy goes on to explain that he did in fact defeat the Silver Shadow all those years ago, but
his cowardly sneak attacks took their toll,
and therefore left him crippled. So apparently Fiona's parents decided to take the Crab's evil empire and turn it into a chain of cosmetic stores, now known as Sephora. The Crab had no other choice but to invest in his granddaughter's own misfortune. Good thing she turned out to be a bad egg, I suppose.
What's in it for me?
how about enough power to rule the world?
Well, we can certainly start negotiations there.
On a side note, I want to point out that this dude has some seriously evil eyebrows. So evil that even his mask can't contain them. Back in the deep dark layer of totally not Batman. Wait, hold up. Is that just a clock glued to the wall? What's with this record player and bug zapper? And I'm pretty sure those are just calculators turned sideways. Man, the Silver Shadow spared no expense on this layer. He clearly was no Bruce Wayne, that's for sure. As I was saying, this Batman wannabe, much like his evil crustacean counterpart, is making a similar offer to the four heroes. But there's a bit of a dilemma since unfortunately, only one of them can take up the mantle of the Silver Shadow.
Will you take on the legacy of the Silver Shadow?
You can count on me.
Hey, 11's a slow ya.
Actually, I meant him.
You're kidding, right? You know how busy I am?
I've never been more serious in my entire simulated life.
This is nuts. 1 minute I'm walking through an old factory, then some guy on a black and white TV tells me I'm going to save the world. And with what? This rusty pile of junk? I mean, hello?
Why is Josh so surprised that he's the one picked to carry on the torch? Pretty sure this dude's wearing zip-off jeans, for Christ's sakes. He's obviously prepared for anything. Warm weather, cold weather, something in between. He's the only logical candidate, no question. If anyone were to read Cam's book on finding your inner hunk and walk away with a lady in each arm, it'd be this guy. While Josh is busy whining about how busy he is, Cam uncovers an incredibly dorky and ill-fitted felt and latex costume that once belonged to the deceased superhero. Could this costume give him the confidence he needs and help him find his inner hunk?
Beware, evildoers, for I am the Silver Shadow!
Right, I'm out of here.
Since Josh decides to peace out, Cam tries to persuade the Silver Shadow to let the three of them continue the mission. And he's clearly not interested.
No, he's right. You don't look much like superhero material, and you're both girls.
Damn, Silver Shadow, it's 2002, you can't say that. Since the Shadow's apparently racist and sexist, he decides to pull the plug on the whole operation and basically tells the kids to piss off. Like, are we sure he's not the real bad guy? So far, I think I like the Crab more. He actually seems less evil. Speaking of him, let's see what he's up to.
With all this power, couldn't you get yourself motorized?
Careful! There's something in here I want you to wear.
Abort, abort! I don't like where this is headed. Turn it off. Oh, thank God.
Well, if it isn't my ex-friend Josh. How's it going, traitor?
She done nothing to you.
Grab him!
What?
Time for a taste of your own medicine.
While Josh is preoccupied thinking about how long it'll take him to clean all that slime out of his zip-off jeans, the Silver Shadow does a complete 1080 and says, I'll let this group of preteens use my totally ugly and impractical tank car to stop a bunch of middle school bullies, because that logic makes sense.
Go!
What? Who are you?
Call us the Silver Shadow Squad.
And? What a bunch of losers!
Wow. You know it must have been a hard day for the costume department when all their hard work and dedication they put into these outfits isn't even taken seriously by a couple of 14-year-olds. I mean, would any kid watching this look at these three heroes and say, "Whoa, those guys are so cool, I want to be just like them"? Didn't think so. While I'm still talking about the costumes for a moment, I just want to show you a few more characters who appear later in this show, just so you can appreciate their glorious outfits as well. In this first pick, we've got Mike Myers dressed as Ming the Merciless, and this dude who looks like he walked into a children's museum, rolled around on the dioramas for a while to see what would stick to his costume, and just called it a day. And I shit you not, this is straight up the dude from the diabetes commercials, rocking a skin-tight costume akin to something you'd see in a high school production of Phantom of the Opera. Like, damn, what a hunk.
Who wants to be unmasked first?
Seriously, he can't tell who they are? He was literally chasing two of them through the factory about 10 minutes ago. I mean, there can't be that many kids running around this area, right? Josh ends up bailing on his friends again, like some dude who just found out his girl was pregnant, and decides to wait out the carnage inside the trash can on wheels, only to discover that this junk pile is also piloted by the ghost of the Silver Shadow. Like the mom from A Christmas Story, the Silver Shadow forces Josh to wear this clunky, robotic Michelin Man suit that honestly looks like the anime version of the first Iron Man suit that Tony Stark built in a cave.
With a box of scraps!
Holy what is that?
Your worst nightmare.
Get him!
My turn.
Alright, I've had my little fun with the editing. To be honest, the scene is actually way funnier on its own, so I'll let you enjoy it in its original 5 FPS glory.
Get him! Go! Kick him! Smack him! Oh, guys, you're fast! I hope you didn't take that get him thing as a threat just now.
Now, I usually don't condone using armored suits to beat up on kids in real life, but I'm glad that this show exists just for this scene alone. Like, kudos to the creators of this show for having the guts to put something so utterly ridiculous on TV. After getting the chance to toss his classmates around like a bunch of rag dolls, Josh changes his mind because if he gets the opportunity to do this every day, he's in. And of course the Silver Shadow's like, thank God. I was really worried I just left all my power in the hands of a nerd and a couple of girls. Ugh. But I don't know, it does seem like Josh enjoyed himself a little too much. Maybe next time the Silver Shadow should do more of a thorough background check before giving just anyone a dangerous super weapon. Back at the retirement community, Fiona is getting suited up in her very own Power Rangers costume. And to be honest, her suit looks way better than any of the other outfits on the show. I'm starting to suspect that most of the budget went into this. I mean, it clearly didn't go into the animation department, that's for sure. So after proving themselves by defeating a few delinquents, the gang has earned the respect of the Silver Shadow, and now he's ready to bestow them with his blessing.
Are you prepared to take on the legacy of the Silver Shadow?
And so the episode concludes with a few more parallels between the forces of good and evil. Excited about their new heroic duties and their secret double lives, the 4 new friends board the elevator back to the surface world and agree not to tell anyone about the hidden lair they discovered or the kids they murdered that day. Instead, they decide to focus on their friendship and their mission of continuing the legacy of the Silver Shadow. So, there you have it. That concludes the pilot episode of Legacy of the Silver Shadow. A fun time, if you ask me. All told, this show plays it pretty safe in terms of storytelling. It's very simple and surprisingly relatable, even for those of us who don't call the Outback home. It follows a lot of TV tropes for sure, specifically the one involving underdog kids becoming superheroes and fighting injustice. Like, I'm fairly certain you've seen plenty of shows with this exact premise before. Personally, even though I didn't grow up watching Power Rangers, I can definitely see a lot of similarities here. but I'm fairly certain that Power Rangers and its huge popularity was one of the main inspirations for this show, and this whole thing was just an attempt to cash in on some of that sweet, lucrative Power Rangers cake. Now, does this show have the lasting impact or recognizability of Power Rangers? With costumes like this? Definitely not. But it was by no means an awful show. It's actually pretty comedic in its writing and has some genuinely funny dialogue at times. Also, surprisingly, the child actors in this don't suck. For the most part, they do a really good job, and a lot of times they even seem to be enjoying themselves, which only adds to the charm of the show. It plays up that fantasy that most kids experience about wanting to become a superhero, and I honestly can't really fault it too much for that, given that I myself dreamed of becoming a superhero at one time or another. I think it's something we all dreamed of. So, while I'm still stuck over here waiting for my mutant gene to present itself, I'm just gonna go ahead and give this show a solid thumbs up. How's that for a genuine recommendation?
What? Like what?
Anyways, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Saturdazed. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Legacy of the Silver Shadow. Please let me know what you thought about this show in the comments below, especially you Aussies out there. I want to hear from you now more so than ever.